Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and so we're doing the live analysis here on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. We do that every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. And then we have live trading with Jay Trader, a stocks trader, at 10 a.m. And Scott Pulsini, a futures trader. So let's dive into the markets here, and I'm going to go through some details here in just a minute. But I want to take a look quickly here into the markets. So what's going on here? All right, well, we can see the in the order flow here, looking at the S&P E-mini, a nice drop here down into figure we've been watching here very closely for a while here. And looks like I'm having some data issues here. I don't know if you guys are with Rhythmic or not. No, it seems to be working here. So something's hung up here in Bookmap. Yeah. All right. Hold on just a minute. Sorry about this. We'll get there. Okay, interesting. I can't wait to go over this, guys. Look at the daily chart over here. Anyway, after this nice push to the upside, it's multiple days. So we'll do a review here in just a second. Okay, so it was also a problem with Rhythmic, it looks like here. So hold on. Potentially. No, I'm sorry, that was not it. Anyway, Rhythmic's good. All right. Yeah, I added crude oil, and it got kind of hung up on it. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in crude oil there. Okay. And still connecting here. So we do have some issues here with Rhythmic. Sorry about this, guys. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here with Rhythmic. Everyone, I mean, it seems to be working here from the RTrader Pro. Anyone have any issues here? Good morning, Josh. No, yes, and maybe in Discord. Everything okay with Rhythmic for you guys? Yeah, okay. All right. So this is weird. Let's try this again. All right, we're just going to try this, and we'll just add it manually. That'll be the best way. Okay. Great. Okay, now the question was with crude oil, though. That's what kind of gave me some issues here. And then I definitely want to add the new Binance futures. Our new indicator there. Yeah, looks good. You guys use $10 for your tick size. And then we'll add in the liquidations in here. Oh boy. Okay, I lost everything. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, guys. So sorry about that. And let's get into it here. Okay, so we saw this nice drop. Oh, we didn't miss anything. It was just a bit of a pullback here to 120, and then the continue. Well, that was before the webinar, and we've just been kind of dropping back down into 4105 here. Some buying starting to come back in. So I'm still looking for this 4100 to trade here. But you know, we got to read the order flow and we got to go through it here. You know, it's been a nice drop down here. Some buying coming in, more buying coming in. Now we see some selling here, a little bit of selling, and they're trying to buy again here. Now this is where we can see the nice flow through to the downside. We're looking for sellers right here at 4107. If we start to get them, I'm looking for them to hit 05 and through it. So let's see if we get them here. If we don't, then we do nothing. We're just you know, looking at this here. And before I jump into all of this in detail, let's go through the risk disclosure so you guys know what you're getting involved with here. The general disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so these are for education, and as we had gone through it here, this is the education package that we offer. We think it's very robust. We have an educational course followed up with these webinars with the live analysis. It is through that same course content, but in the live market, so you can apply what you've learned. Then look at two other different traders, as well as Tom B in the afternoon here, and look how they trade. Okay, they're going to be trading in a very specific way, and we want to understand in these webinars market structure, auction market theory. It could be volume profile, it could be patterns, it could be candlestick patterns, Elliott wave, whatever, for various markets, not one in particular. Okay, most people want to look at the S&P, so that's why we go through it. All right, guys, so let's jump back in here. Thanks, Doug and Tyree, and on the feedback there. So all's well now. This is what we were looking for. We started to see our sellers coming in just around this 07, and then here we got our follow through down to 05. Okay, so we're still looking for more follow through. Look on the offer here, more selling or more on the offer. They want to sell up here, looking for these aggressive sellers, red dots, market sell orders to trade into and through, or at least test into this 4100 here. Lots of liquidity down here, okay, around this 92 area. So let's see if they can continue to push here. We're looking for our sellers, yeah, that's the analysis for the moment here. Okay, looking for that continuation here. We'll see if we got to go through the opposite scenario, and the opposite scenario is we start to find buyers back up above this 07 area here. And in fact, we'll see if we might even get a little bit of that right now, at least to test back to 07. Okay, we might. And why we might is because see, we're not getting sellers down here. Again, no sellers here. A little bit. All right, I'm looking for them to push through the sell side here. No, we're still kind of back and forth in here. I thought a little bit of selling here might kick it off. It didn't. Anyway, this is our pattern. Selling on this leg here, not too much. A little bit here, nothing here, and a little bit here. So, you know, we can come back to this 07 at the moment and retest it, but overall still looking for the sell side. Yeah, it looks like there's enough buying in here to try to get back up to 07 here. Let's see if they do it. Yep, looks like it. Let's see it. Let's see it. We're looking to see, like, at these little critical areas here, to be honest, what we're looking for is, because everyone knows, you know, we're looking for more downside into the figure here. And we got a lot of people taking some profit early, etc. Maybe trying to get a short squeeze going. People, you know, selling in here and then getting them squeezed and come back up into point of control and VWAP up in these areas up here. So you'll see this kind of battle at these little critical areas here. So yeah, we had our buyers up here, we had our sellers down here, and it's like getting one kind of offsides and then moving it. And this wasn't too much of a you know, a lot of times what you'll see is like the offsides, like you'll see this kind of fake breakout up here on the buy side, and then the sellers come in and just pound it. Okay, we might get that actually. Let's see if we do. Now, if that is the scenario and what that scenario looks like, let me draw it out here. Okay, because this is important because we're looking for it. And that scenario is like up here. Okay, we got our buyers up here. Okay, now what we're looking for is if we can get, and let me change my color, if we can get sellers back down around this area here, we're looking for big red dot in these areas in here, and then the continuation on down. Okay, and then these guys up here that we just outlined in yellow, they're offsides. They're the ones that are going to get stopped out on the way down here. Okay, so that's what that scenario looks like. You can see that we're still finding buyers here, still trying to push it. Okay, so our next area is top of the range, VWAP. Well, we're already there. VWAP and point of control. Okay, so we're waiting, we're watching, and these areas can be very tricky, as you can see. It's hold on a minute. Let me get out of the pen. There we go. Yeah, still kind of looking to see if they can push it a little bit higher, maybe 41.20 here. All right. But anyway, the order flow kind of shift happened down here. We see our sellers. We're looking for a 4100 and below. And then, yeah, some buyers came in, but this is where we need to see them again. And we had a little bit here, had some in here, had a little bit in here. They pulled away. We start to get some buyers here. We get our retest. We start to get buyers in here. Now we're looking for the 07 and then looking for just maybe a test up to there and come back down and get the sellers yet again down here around 05 and then the follow through. So what happened here is we got our buyers in, our sellers here. We did not make a lower low. Okay, so we want to see the sellers down in these areas here. We didn't get it. We start to see the buyers here. So up to 07, and then kind of surprising move to push it back up into VWAP and point of control. And then we're looking for maybe potentially a little bit higher here, and you can see we almost got there up to 41.20. And then now we're looking again for our sellers. Now we're looking for our sellers though below here or down. You can even look for the push from up here. See the exhaustion, and they're selling up here. There's not a whole lot of buying up here. Therefore, we're looking for the push back down to the bottom of the range here on the sell side. These are great entries, or potential entries, I should say. Depends on your strategy. This is not a trade calling room in here, but this would be your pullback strategy and looking for continuation to the downside. So up here, we don't see too many buyers. We want to see big green dots like this pulling that market higher. We didn't get them, and instead we see sellers here. Now we're looking for follow through, or the move back down into like this 13 area here, 13 and a half. And that still hasn't unfolded yet. Buyers are still trying to squeeze it here. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see. Now we're looking for a move from here, 16 down to 13. Okay, this is something that I would be looking for, you know, jumping in somewhere around in here. And this is not a trade recommendation, it's not financial advice, but we're looking for a move down to here, maybe take some off, and then getting a runner back down to 07. Okay? And then maybe the follow through and continuation to the downside. Okay, and this one I'd be stopped out already. Okay, I wouldn't put any more risk on that. I would look for it again in here. I'm looking for this to work here right away. Again, this is not a trade recommendation. It's a consideration for order flow and understanding the structure here. Okay, so here again, it would be somewhere right around in here. And then looking for the move back down to the bottom of the range. And that's it, out at the top of the range from here to here. Very, very tight stop in here, looking for it to move and work immediately. If it doesn't, something's wrong. Does that make sense? I mean, this is one way of looking at it. I mean, you know, if you're larger, you know, higher time frame trader, boy, you know, you'd be looking at something completely different. Okay, I'm so bad. Yeah. I mean, this is turning into like a bull flag potentially here, and the move back up into 27 and 32 now at this point. Okay, we gave it a shot, right? We're looking for a pullback because it's a lower high here, and we're looking for our sellers, and then looking for the retest back down to here. Okay, and this one didn't pan out. Okay, in fact, it's a beautiful bull flag here that's panning out. Obviously, that's hindsight. Anyway, got tripped up a little bit in there. All right, so again, these are just considerations. It's not a trade recommendation. Let's take a step back, though. I wanted to go over the bigger picture. So here's our move and completion of that up into 27 and then maybe 31 here. I would love to see it come back up into 37 and maybe even try to get back up to the high of the day here if we can squeeze it that hard. And we might see that. But let's take a step back. We haven't looked at our bigger picture yet, and that's important. Okay, so all right. Oh God, did I just lose it? Did I just lose Rhythmic again? All right, well, I seem to have data, so I'm going to stay with it. That's fine. I've got something else up here. Take a look at. We can look at just this kind of very basic candlestick chart. Looking at the weekly chart here, okay, the big picture and what's going on here. Last week, we were looking for this move higher. This week, what's going on? Well, we came back up into these kinds of ranges up here, and here the weekly chart isn't helping us too much. There's kind of a range in here. These wicks, all three of these wicks in here, and this kind of follow through to the downside. Also here, look at the spike above this prior week, and today as well, the spike up above prior week, but we're below it now. So here we're looking for follow through to the downside, somewhere in the middle of this candle somewhere. And we're going to be looking at our levels in here. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay, so this is a beautiful pattern on the daily that we see the this move higher that we were looking for last week unfolded nicely. We're below it already and retesting back down to the top of this range here, and we're just about there. We're looking for 40.93, okay, and looking for the continuation down to about 40.93 or so, okay, on this daily chart. And then, we'll see. We'll take a look here. But beautiful spike up above, get everyone kind of stopped out, going the wrong way, and then retest back down to these levels here. Okay, and maybe we'll get back down even lower in the week here, back down into like 4,000 or so, somewhere around in here. Okay, so on the daily, that's what we're looking at here. All right, let's take a look at the 1 hour. Okay, down below these little swings here and continuation. So yeah, looking for it to come back down and retest maybe around here, 78, 40.78. Okay, we got to get through 4,100. And what about a 15-minute chart? Yeah, I don't really care too much for the 15-minute. We're already below this swing here. So yeah, just looking for a follow through. I like this node down here. There's a little volume cluster down here. That could be also another area. That was our 78 area, so it's about 80 to 82 actually, 86. So somewhere around in here, a nice level to retest. All right, so there's our higher time frame. Just looking at some levels based on previous order flow. All right, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, fill this liquidity up in these areas really nicely. That's a quite nice pattern there. Okay, you guys can't hear me too well. All right, sorry about that, guys. How about now? Can you hear me better? Yeah, okay. Good morning, Corwin. Huh, okay. Bruce, you're having some, McKay, you're having some issues here with the Thinkorswim Bookmap. I don't think you cannot set the, well, you can reset some of the, yeah, you're right, you're correct. The POC and the VWAP, you should be able to set back to 9:30 cash open. All right, let's see if we get our sellers once again in here after this nice move to the upside, looking for them to retest back down to 120 here. Okay, so continuation here after all of this, after being squeezed here and pushed in here a few times. I'm looking for the sellers. We're looking for the overall move to the downside. So again, I would probably jump in here around 22, and I'm looking for it, the continuation. I would love to see it come back down to about 16 or so, or maybe even below the swing here, around 15 or so. So we've had our squeeze. They've had their fun. And these can be tricky here because we didn't see any sort of kind of distribution pattern up here at all. We got one leg up, sideways consolidation, leg two into high liquidity here, and then now looking for a continuation. Okay, so here we go again. 22 right here looks good. Let's see if we get our sellers, and looking for the move back down to 20 and below. I want to see the retest down to here to 20. And let's see it, sellers. Let's see it right here. And we should get our move. Nope. No, we're back up. Buyers back up above this area. This has been a tricky session, guys. I don't know, what is it like, off for a day on Monday, Memorial Day, and then come back here and just being a little bit out of shape. And this is tricky. This is the kind of under overline, our pivot lines in here, and this is the squeeze to the upside now. But the here we see, you can see it in here, right? Sellers here, see where the buyers kind of lifted it, and then sellers in here, and then the buyers back up above this area here. We're looking for the same thing but the opposite direction. So here are our buyers here. Now we're looking for our sellers here. Great, here they are. Let's see them push it down to at least the pivot here around 22, 23. Okay, and then I want to see them just blast through it. So looking for it again. Once again, here we're going to get our follow through this time. Here come the sellers. Now we're down here, get maybe a little bit of a bounce, and then looking for continuation. There we go. Okay, and still looking for it back down to this 20 level, and then through it back down into, would love to see it back down into VWAP, point of control, down in these areas here. Okay, so somewhere around in here, 16, 17, something like that. 15. John G, how much have you missed? Not too much, let me tell you. This was kind of a tricky move here, but I'm still looking for the follow through to the downside here. There we go. So there's the move to 20. Still looking for more though. And I want to see them trade back down into these areas here. So another 5 points or so, and I want to see them trade all the way back down to 4100 here, and through it. Okay, so that's in line with our higher time frame that we're looking for. Okay, so actually this is not bad here, because here's our 15-minute. I don't trust these charts. Our move back up here to, is that 23? Yeah, I don't trust these charts. And I lost my rhythmic. I really off to a bad start today, guys. I'm sorry about that. Really bad start here. As soon as I started the webinar, or right before it, I looked at crude oil, and then I had some issues here. Let's jump over to crude. I'm just curious. There's been a lot of action over there. Corwin, where do you get your point of control? Yeah, I can show you that. That's really easy. So the open up your one of the columns here. You can right click in a column and then insert a new column here. Okay, and then once you've done that, you're going to have to right click in that new column, and then make it for here, select volume column, and then you're going to have to right click one more time, and then you select session volume profile. Okay, now once you've done that one more time, then you got to right click again, and then you go to configure, and then let me go into the session profile here, and then configure, and then it's here, show POC. Okay, guys, tricky session here. I mean, like just looking for the higher time frame to follow through, and it didn't. In fact, it's actually quite nice. Example of a of structure, and then a new structure starting here. Okay, and we see quite a bit of buying coming in here, right back up to the highs of from when we started the webinar. Okay, high of the day is way up here. Well, 41.40, and a little bit above it here. One thing here in the order flow, we see this pattern all the time, so we'll see if this one follows through. What we're looking for up here on the second leg here is the potential. We want to see maybe well, a few different things. Right now it still looks like bulls kind of want to take it higher, but we'll watch this very closely. Overall pattern is this. Here's our double bottom down here. Okay, but in the bigger picture, this is a move to the downside, and then we're seeing this kind of double bottom pattern, and then we can get this kind of double top pattern up here, and then the continuation to the downside. Okay, we see that a lot, especially in like crude oil, and it does exactly this pattern here, and then it fails, and then we get our continuation of trend. So that's what we're looking for in here. Okay, I'm looking for sellers right here, right now at 41.28. Let's see if we get them. Looking for in the order book here as well. Looking for our red dots in here. And yeah, I would look to take this right back down to the bottom of the range to 41.20. Let's see it, sellers. We got some exhaustion here. Looking for sellers. And then follow through. I want to see these guys get out of the way, and I want to see it come right back down to 41.20. Yeah, there they are. They're out of the way. Let's see the sellers come in now and push it back down into this lower level here. Okay, now again, this is kind of my way of looking at it here. I'm looking for the order flow to tell me when the sellers are starting to take control, and I'm looking for it below this kind of structure up here. And here, this is it here. Okay, now look at the buyers just tested it, and there's a potential for another squeeze. Buyers back up above this selling right here. Okay, if that's the case, then I'm out. It's not doing what I thought it was going to do. I would get out. Right now, I got to see the buyers back up above it, though. I got to see the buyers back up above. They need to commit. They can't just trade to this level. They need to trade above it. Yeah. Okay. So let's see if we get our sellers coming back in. Sellers again here, and then follow through down to 24 and then 20. Looking for it. If they did get above here, it didn't accept. Sellers are back in, and they're going to get some insight from this liquidity in here, 240. There we go. A little bit of a push from there. That helped. We see more sellers looking for the follow through. There we go. Now some sellers, they ought to come in here, and we ought to see the push now at this point. The buyers have had their fun. All right, well, anyway, let me go through a few things here. So, I got kind of dinged up or scratched up a few things in a few of the order flow reads in here. And what I'm covering though is like some trade management in the order flow reading here. And if it's not doing, I mean, this is my way of looking at it, and this is the way that I'm covering reading the order flow. Now, there's just so many different ways to trade. You'll see Scott trade completely differently. You'll see Joseph completely differently. I mean, Scott's looking at getting in somewhere around in here and placing a stop way up here, and that's his way of looking at it, right? And he's taking like he has very, very wide stops, but his take profits are also very, very wide. He's trading on a higher time frame. So what I'm looking for in these webinars here is just to kind of go through our education, and then looking at market structure, and then looking at where we think price might go next due to the order flow, the transactions, and the order book within that market structure. Okay, so we're looking for the some sort of edge in here that gives us insight to the continuation or something in the structure here to follow through. And yet again, here we are back up here. The buyers are just still fighting it. And we didn't even get down to 120 yet. I'm really surprised about that. It looks like we're going to get it now though. Let's see it. Looking for these sellers to push it right through here, 20 or 22 level into 20, and then a lot lower. We might not get them. They might not show up. And if they don't, then that strategy or that look or our insight that didn't pan out. Okay, so let's just read the order flow in here. Okay, in fact, buyers here, there could be a nice squeeze in here potentially, back up to 32 and 35, maybe even 40. Boy, this has been a really kind of horrible day. I lost stops and icebergs. I lost everything in here. I can put it back on the chart. And sub chart as well. Hold on just a minute. Okay, I can't find it. Come on, sellers, looking for the push right here yet again through this area, this little pivot point area right here. there's sellers below it, buyers above it, looking for sellers below it again. Right here. And we're not getting it. Not getting it. This is basically a reversal pattern on a very small time frame right in here. Sellers, a little bit of selling, buyers here, a higher low, now a higher high, and then we look for the push actually. Right, this is like a mini head and shoulders in here. Okay, now we can still get the move back down. Now I'd be looking at this area here if we're sell side. And we're definitely not. Guys, let me show you where to get the stops and icebergs indicator, okay, if you're interested in that. First off, it's on the Bookmap marketplace. Okay, if you want to subscribe to it, if you're interested in that. You'll find it here, MBO bundle, but you know that's if you're new to it. If you already have it and you want to look for the download, then the way to go here is the boy, that played out pretty nicely here. These are just squeezes, higher and higher. I think we're going to verify that in just a minute on the sub chart. I mean, you can see it here. 210, 242, 214, just keeps on going higher and squeezing people. Still looking for the overall trend though, to the downside. Here's our pivot point yet again, right around here, around 31, and I'd be looking for sellers below it, and now trade back to our pivot's kind of here around 27, where this right where this kind of mini head and shoulders kind of emanated here. Okay, so we'd be looking for those sellers to try to take it down into that area. We're below this pivot here. Okay, so just looking for the move down to here, 26, 27. No, can't do it. Another stop run to the upside here. Still finding stops. All right, so how do you find if you already have stops and icebergs, how do you find it? So go to bookmap.com, go to the more button here, and then go to our knowledge base. Okay, in our knowledge base here, this is where you'll find everything. This is the go-to for basically anything. Right now you're in the Bookmap user guide section of the knowledge base. We want to be in the add-ons section here, so click on that, and then you can see all the add-ons here on the left side, and click on stops and icebergs subchart right here. Okay, and then you can scroll down, or you can also use the quick links here to kind of scroll down to installation, and then you'll find it in here. So you'll see the download here, or use the direct link here. Okay, and then that downloads the jar file here. All right, so now we've downloaded it. Now we're going to add it via configure add-ons, add. Here's our download here, and double click, select it, add it, and then select it here, and then you have all the different settings in here. All right, guys. Well, let's take another look at this here. Like it just continues to trend here, trending really nicely, turning into actually a pretty beautiful reversal pattern. Yeah. So it looks like we're going to try to spike back up at highs of the day here, or at least high of the cash session here. Now, I'm just gonna, this is something I've been testing, to be honest, on with the new liquidations indicator here. We're looking at Binance futures. Okay, and see, these are nothing but buy liquidations to the upside here. So this means people were short and they're getting liquidated out on the move to the upside here. All right, we covered this the last week. We just released this last week. What I want to go through though here is we're going to start to. I mean, this is such a crazy indicator. It's amazing to see this. These are actual liquidations. So these buys here, they're not stops. This is the exchange liquidating the account and saying, you don't have any more margin. We're closing your position. We're forcing your position closed. And we can see that here on the chart. Now, I don't see one to the downside. Not one yet. So when we see this, and I'm gonna extrapolate this here to stops and icebergs in the ES. So once we start to maybe see some on the downside, that's when we're going to look for our potential bigger move to the downside. Okay, because I don't see any yet here. Now it's filtered in this liquidations here. I'm looking at a certain amount. And I'm just not seeing any right now. So the market here is continually pushing to the upside and finding buyers. The buyers they're finding here are being liquidated, or their position to sell. So now they're forced out of the market from the exchange to buy, and liquidate their position. So that's what's happening up here. Now let's take a look at the ES. Okay, same thing is kind of happening here. Stops, lots of stops. I don't see too many here on the downside. They're being filtered out. Okay, when do we start to see some bigger stops to the downside? When do we look for people that might be long in here, getting squeezed on the downside? Let me get to some of the questions here, so don't leave you guys hanging. Yeah, Bruce, I hear you. You should be able to here. Let me show you. It's the same area that in your columns in here. If you want to set your VWAP, I mean, basically you should see the VWAP setting up in here under studies, even on Thinkorswim. So just click on that, and then here you'll see your VWAP, and then here this is where you can click on session start time, and you can see I put mine in for 9:30. You should see that there. Okay, and then for the POC, it's within the SVP column, like we were just showing Corwin. Okay, so here we right click in here. You have to be a volume column, session accumulated, and then configure it, and then you'll see POC here. Okay, and oh, I'm sorry, you're looking for the reset. So now right click again and go to reset, and then go to reset configurations. Okay, and then you can have it reset in here. So for example, 9:30, you select your time in here if you want to add in your time, apply it, and then that's it. That should do the trick for you. Okay, it should be the same in Thinkorswim. All right, guys, so here, do we get a big stop run? No. Okay, I'm looking for sellers now here, and then to drop down to 41.28. Okay, so every time we've come back up, we've seen stops. Here we didn't see so many. There are some, but not as big. It didn't make the filter. Here we don't see many at all. Great. All right, now I'm looking for the sellers then. Let's see if they can push it back down into these areas here. Okay, so that would be primary scenario. And it's not much to hang your hat on, but that would be the primary scenario here. Looking for our sellers, looking for the push, looking for 41.28. Secondary scenario here would be we do get back up here. We see buyers, lack of sellers here. We do get buyers here. Yeah, and that's what's the secondary scenario is what's playing out. And then we're looking for our stop run to start to emanate up here around 41.35 on up into 41.40. Okay, let's see if we get our stop run now. Not much. I mean, nothing notable. You can see I have it on transparency in here. You can also look at the subchart. So now it retested back up here and it didn't find many, right? Great. We're back down here again, looking for the follow through on the sell side. Okay, it retested it, probed up here again, didn't find anything, looking for sellers to probe and test down here, 28, and let's see if we can get our follow through now, finally. Okay, let's take a look over at Binance here, Binance Futures. Okay, how is it doing? Okay, like still don't see any sell liquidations. Yeah, Corwin, I mean, you know, there's kind of you're talking about you can't wait for the MBO data. I'll show you another way to take a look at this, guys. Like this is like, you know, some really great stuff. I mean, like this liquidations is just incredible to me, and is very similar. I mean, we don't know if like these are liquidations up here. We certainly know they're stops. There's no question about that. Okay, they're stops, and that's the order type that is transacting in some of these areas here. Okay, but there's likely a lot of liquidations up in these areas as well. Okay, they might be stops, there might be liquidations up here. So they're very similar because they're happening up at these extremes here. Here again, here's another retest back up here. Not much. Not much on the downside either. They're still finding more stops on the upside. So rotate back up and let's see if they can continue to push and get more stops back up into highs of the day. Here we go. Here's the seller. Sellers have had enough, right? They're going to move this market here, it looks like. And this is what we're looking for since the beginning of the webinar. All right, move it away from this area. Here's what we're looking for. This whole big consolidation here. Okay, it's even bigger than that. Okay, now they did find a ton of stops to the downside here, as you guys can see. Not a ton, actually. If we zoom out, not a ton. Only 69, actually. And it probed it. It probed 28. Right, that's what we're looking for, is just to move down here and test this area. Okay, now let's take a look again at this area, and we did make a slightly lower low here, but we don't have many sellers down here. Okay, here we retested it again, and there's no selling down here. Okay, we're looking for buyers to come back in and try to take it back up to here, 33 or 34. Maybe they can even get to 39 and 40 now. Okay, so here was the retest. This is the selling we're looking for. Retest, no, not many sellers. Buyers, retest again. No sellers at the bottom here. It exhausted. Buyers here, back up to the top and retest these areas here. So 33, 35, 39 and 40 liquidity up here, and that would be above. No, still it's just right up by the open here. Broker buy a new yacht day. Yeah, this has been kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop here. You know, and it shouldn't. This is I mean, usually, I mean, this is, you can see, like, I've had a bias to the downside, and the bias to the downside was due to the bigger picture, and then I kind of lost my bigger picture with my rhythmic charts. But you know, due to the bigger picture, I'm looking for retest back down into some of these lower areas from you know, last week's nice move to the upside. I want to see them retest some of these other areas on the downside, and we're seeing that on the hourly, and then also on the daily, and then right here you can see, like, there's big wicks on both sides here. And then the last hour or so, this is turning into, like, big wick on the downside, but you know, a lot of green in here too, and are already retested up in this area here. So it's kind of a little bit of a surprise. Order flow wise, you know, the move to the downside, sellers here, looks good for continuation. We did have a retest, and then we do see the buyers come in. Looking for that, still like a trend and a move to the downside. Okay, I was, and then we can see buyers back up, and the structure is beautiful here. I just kind of missed it. This kind of bear or bull flag here played out beautifully, and it retested back off of it. Structurally, this is it. I mean, you can, it's working very nicely. The order flow read wasn't so nice on my side here. Here's a move to the upside up into this liquidity here, and then you know, pretty good selling coming right back down, looking for, you know, the break again back down to the lows, due to the bigger picture momentum. And they just continue to squeeze. We continue to see the sellers squeeze to the upside and getting stopped out. And I'm just looking for, when we come up here and there's just no more sellers. That's what I'm looking for. So, and here it is. I mean, basically we can see that we've probed up here. We didn't get, there's some stops in here, no doubt, but we're not seeing as many as like this over here. Okay, it's not meeting the filter requirement, the on chart filter here for our stops. Let's take a look. So I can even redo it here. See, it's the automatic filter for an hour here, and I have a pretty high multiplier in here. So I'm looking for, it has to be a minimum of 147 for it to display here. So here's like 66 or something like that, 56, something like this. Didn't make the threshold. Okay, all right, Bruce. So I'd have to take a look at the Thinkorswim version. From what I've seen in the past, like what I covered there, is spot on to what Thinkorswim had. They've duplicated it. How do we differentiate between regular stops and liquidations? Well, so there, I mean, we don't know like if it's a liquidation, Corwin or not in the S&P. We just know that with what is it? Bybit, Binance Futures, Bitfinex, and FTX. Okay, with that new liquidations indicator. We don't know if there's a stops in crypto in those exchanges. We just know if it's a liquidation. It would be great to have it over here, but we don't have that data from the exchange in the S&P. That'd be amazing. All right, so Captain Price, all sorts of stuff in here. Okay. All right, looks like I'm caught up here. All right, well, let's see. We're continuing to kind of squeeze higher here. Still looking for that big stop run. Now, here we didn't get it. In fact, here more sellers back down to the bottom of the range. This is order flow we'd be looking for back to the bottom of the ranges here. 34, 33, 32 down here. Okay, here's the opposite of what we were looking at earlier. Here's buyer volume, none. There's no stops. Sellers here, great. They should be able to come back down to 34 and 32 here. Should. And they are this time. Now, let's see if we get our follow through. That's a lot of selling coming in. So now we're looking for follow through though. The first stop is down to this area here around 32. And then we'd be looking for the next stop to be down to the bottom of the range. Well, point of control is here. We're already getting kind of through it. The next stop is the bottom of the range down here. Okay, and that would be around 28, 29. And I don't see anything different. Like this time, it's the same read. I'm looking for the move lower here due to the order flow in here. Just trying to simply read the order flow. Okay, I was a little hung up earlier, I think, on the higher time frame bias, and here we're just going to start to read simple order flow here and then follow through. Okay, there's no reason to get out of this until we get back down and test the bottom of the range, and then we'll wait and watch and look. Okay. Now what's been happening here is we look for it, and then buyers come in on the other side up here, and then it's true. The order flow read is, yeah, let's see if they can continue and maybe push it back up into these levels as a pullback. Okay, but see the follow through now. See, now we're getting our follow through. We are down at that 28-29 level. All right, great. Now we're looking for more than that though. Let's see, it's a lot of selling here. Okay, so the next level, and let's just kind of subdue the heat map a little bit. The next level is really, where else, where are is there structural areas in here or transactions? Maybe here around 25, but 20 looks better. The bottom of this range here in our structure that we kind of outlined here. So let's see if we can get our follow through. The bigger picture looks pretty good here too. I'm looking for follow through down to 20. Okay, and that would be a bigger picture look as well here. Okay, and then 20, we'll see. Now we waited to see down here at 28-29, and I don't see any buyers, so I'm still looking for continuation. Okay, and in these kinds of moves, after some tricky moves to the upside, I thought, or my own bias there, move to the upside here. A lot of the times, like after you capture that move on the other side, a lot of times I will not take profits at some of these areas here. I mean, this one down here at 20. Well, we'll wait and see, but likely I would at 20 because that's a nice point gain, and it's down to the bottom of the range, and we have some reasons here. We have structure, we have VWAP, and so there's some reasoning for it, and low volume node, whatever it might be. There's some reasons for it, and take some off and reduce the risk, okay, and look for the follow through then. In fact, you can even manage it if you see a low volume pullback at this point. You can even start to splice back into the trade. All right, well, anyway, the original point was that get down into some of these areas in here, and a lot of times you won't get even a bounce. They'll just blaze right through it. We've seen it so many times. Okay, we kept looking for it. We kept looking for it. It kept on just grinding higher, hitting people, stopping people out, and then we see our kind of no more stops. No one else getting kind of stopped out in areas, and then we see the sellers do come in and they do commit, and a lot of times we just see it go right through these areas here, and then down to lower areas. Okay, and so we'd be looking for, even you see kind of an odd area for liquidity to come in here around this kind of 09 area, 4109. I'd still be looking for the move all the way back down to 4100 basically, and breach the lows here. Okay, because we were looking for that earlier and we never got it. Okay, a lot of liquidity here on the offer now. This is different than before. Liquidity on the bid too, here. And they're bidding up above 4120. And let's see if these guys stay in the book here between 27 and 30. Still sticking with downside. No reason here to get out. Secondary scenario, don't see buyers back up here. Okay, now we're looking for our follow through to the downside into 20. Seller's still trying on the NQ as well. Yeah, I don't have the NQ up. I had some, yeah, it's been a tough session. As soon as I started, or just before I started the webinar, there was some I had some connections issues with my R trader. It wasn't rhythmic. It was my my connection to Rhythmic R Trader Pro, and something got hung up in there. So yeah, Rhythmic R Trader Pro is closed right now. Okay, let's take a look again here, see what's going on. Well, I mean, still structurally, we still have no reason to get out from that downside outlook here. Okay, it's been just kind of back and forth here, but here we're looking for a follow through. And I'd like to see it just blaze through 20, to be honest. That'd be great. And that's possible. There's 20. Finally, we made it down to 20. I'd really love to see that, like, not give people a chance. That happens a lot after these kinds of grinding moves higher. It just blazes right through it, back down to point of control, and then even bottom of the range. Okay, you keep waiting, and then you think, oh, I'll buy the pullback, and you just won't get a chance to buy the pullback or sell the pullback. Right, that's why, like I was kind of saying very early on in the webinar, I like to look at the order flow, and then I look for it to follow through immediately. If it doesn't, I'm out. Something's wrong, something's different. I'll take the scratch, or I'll take the small nick, and then I'll look for the next one. Rob, let me see exactly. Let me read it out here. Kind of looks like between 1040 and 1105, algos are trying to conceal their accumulation or sell orders based on that ice, and then it dropped pretty hard after that. This happens a lot. You'll just see it grind higher and higher and higher, and then you know, a lot of times it's when, I mean, there's news later in the week, guys, and you know, I like to also kind of look at and plan out the week based on what's going on in the news, of course, you know, economic events and geopolitical. But you know, you'll see these kinds of tests and probes higher and higher, and then, you know, like we were discussing earlier with, like, here, look at now even the distinction here in Binance futures. Now we're getting liquidations on the downside. So there's actually still more liquidations on the upside here. So maybe we just go in a back and forth environment here in Bitcoin. Or are they're gonna press again? Like, the market will probe and test. That's what it does. Okay, it will probe and test this area down here again, and here it is right here basically, and it didn't find any liquidations here. So let's see if, and it didn't find any here. It kind of retested back up here and didn't find any. Okay, so, well, let's see. Maybe sellers can try to reprobe this 31,560 area here. And then let's see if we get some liquidations there. See how it's now starting to find a few? It's very small, 0.01 or less than 0.01 or 0.1 coins here. We can look at it in dollars as well. Maybe that's better. Okay, you can do it on quote currency or base currency. So it only found $1,500 up here. It's not much, right? Whereas look at some of these over here, 26K, 18K. Down here, 26K in liquidations. Now, many liquidation events as well. Here and then in here. Love this indicator. This is it's a part of you get it with your subscription, Global and Global Plus. So you'll just have to go to that add-on section I was showing you earlier and download it. All right, let's see if these sellers can continue to probe lower and test lower. Okay, so we got through, or we kind of bounced around 20 a bit. And now looking for this odd liquidity kind of in the middle of, I mean, there's some structure here, not much, but this 4110 area here. I would think these guys are going to get out of the way and it's going to come back down into 4100. But we'll have to see here. We never know until they trade down to them. So Rob, I hope I kind of answered your question. That kind of accumulation. Yeah, well, the larger, this is true, Rob. It's a really good point. Now, we saw this all was it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before. On Friday, we saw just massive accumulation on the way down. And that's right. Like, you know, the icebergs, they want to get filled. And to get filled, you know, is most likely got to trade through you. It's not going to hit you. And then if you want to get fully filled, you know, it's like your limit orders. It's got to trade into it, and it's got to likely trade through it. And so it's going to go against you immediately. Well, you'll see, like, you know, it's also here in the order book. You'll see this high liquidity getting filled. And then you'll see it go against them for a long time. Sometimes they have deeper pockets. It was this here. Let me go back to the chart on the daily. And we saw the whole thing. It was this candle here. It was like, wow, every point had just massive liquidity on the way down. And I don't know how many icebergs we saw. It was in the several thousands. It might have been over 10,000. I can't recall. But we just saw massive icebergs getting filled here on the bid. We would look for a move back up into the range. And this at least back up above where those guys started to get filled on the bid and where those icebergs came in. And not only did it do that, it led to a multi-day move to the upside. That's how powerful it is to start to understand the order flow on these higher time frames. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's where they're getting filled. These are just orders. I'm still looking for, I would love to see just the top of this range here at 93 today. Okay, we're looking for a pullback, and we're still looking for continuation in the pullback here. And that would be here. Yeah, well, there's a lot of liquidity down there as well. Okay, right around 92 here. It makes sense. Yeah, Rob, I think it's really worth it, like, to go back and watch that that day. It was it's on our YouTube channel, and I think that was the 20th, right? Yeah. So go watch that webinar from the 20th. Okay, it's in here. And you'll see what I mean. Okay, the recordings are here. Click on the playlist. Oh, God, and you lose the date, don't you? Okay, let me try it again. Yeah, you don't see the date. That's kind of horrible. Maybe it was this. Good. Yeah, this one right here. Here, I'll put it into the chat for you. Yeah, so here watch this one here. And you know, that's where you'll see it. You know, these larger players, I mean, they can have it go against them a lot. In fact, you know, that's how they get filled. And they average, and that's verified. I've talked to larger players. That's how they trade, averaging into their position. I mean, they just have so much to get filled. All right, so let's see here. Let's get back to our order flow read. Strong move to the downside, looking for the continuation. We got through our 20 level here and then been bouncing around in it, in a range in here. And okay, so now we're looking for, we had a move to the upside and the potential for the move back up into 30 here, but we're not. We're below it here. And we've got sellers below these buyers here. Now I'm looking for follow through to the downside into 10. I want to see them move it into 10. And I want to see these guys are likely going to get out of the way. I can't believe they're going to get filled. But we'll see. We'll see if they see if the market can test down into this liquidity here. Okay. Anyway, that's the kind of read here. This is our pivot point right here. Okay, right around 20, a little bit higher. Okay, this is where the buyers came in and moved it. This is where the sellers, actually the sellers came in a little bit higher here around 21, okay, and then moved it lower. Okay, now we're looking for, and here's the bounce off of here. See the lack of buying? We're looking for our sellers. Great. Back down to the bottom of the range. Now we want to see the sellers push it through here and break it back down into, well, 16, 15, down to 10, basically. And let's see it reprobed back up here. And this is classic S&P kind of activity, just reprobing, retesting. Okay, and that way it can be very, very forgiving, let you out of your positions. Okay, now it's starting to find some buyers up here. And what about stops? No, didn't really find too many. Okay, I'm starting to find some now, a little bit. Okay. Let's see if we get our, still looking for sellers down here. And you can see it exhausted here and we found buyers instead, right? So another probe higher here. Okay, back up into maybe 24. Let's see. The liquidity's up here at 25 though. Okay, there's 24. Okay, so just back to the top of this little range here, around 24. Okay, so now where would we be looking for our sellers to come in? What do you guys think? Okay, or lack of sellers, basically. Okay, Bruce, so you sent me an email that summarizes the issue. All right, I'll take a look. Uh, 18 and a half. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot down at 18 and a half, but on the smaller little range here, right here at 22. See where the buyers came in and lifted it? I want to see sellers push it through that area here. And then what we'll have is a nice trap here. Okay, and then we'll have a new range down here. Okay, so I'm looking for that scenario here. Here we go, starting to get them. Looking now, if we can get a few more. See, now they're actually kind of supporting it here. These guys did get out of the way here, but we didn't get too many sellers here, and we were starting to get some buyers back up here. So likely, due to the order flow read, then we should get a press higher here. Okay, because we didn't get sellers here. We're getting buyers up here. Okay, now we're retest back down here. Did we get sellers? Not really. Now are we gonna get sellers on this one? If we do, I would jump in. And then I'm looking for follow through down to our, then I'm so bad, I'm looking for that 18 and a half area here and that retest down here. Okay, and I'd likely scratch this trade already. I'd scratch that idea. I'm not going to get caught up in it and get squeezed up to 27. Okay, and I'd be looking again down here. Sellers, okay, let's see it then. Follow through down to 18 and a half here. Okay, and then down here, boy, I want to see them push it through. There they go. Okay, so you can see this one worked out. This rotation worked out. That's what we're looking for. Now we've got something here though, right? On this rotation here, we got something. And I think we can hold on to it and look for it to break this structure now. Okay, we're down to the, like even below, like, you know, somewhere around 17, 18. And now we're looking to see if we can get back down into these lower levels here, 10, and then also, well, bigger picture, 4,100. Okay, so same process. Now, one was kind of a little bit of a scratch. The other one here is we got the follow through. Okay, and still looking for follow through. All right, so that's the order flow read, and that's the trade management of the order flow read. Now that's just, it's not a trade recommendation whatsoever. It's something to consider about, you know, if you want to marry your order flow read with your trading activity. This is something you need to study though on your own. This is only for educational purposes. You need to go back and you need to study it. Okay? And maybe that kind of style, like, I mean, basically what we're doing is we're reading the order flow and then hopping on the train and trying to, you know, look for a follow through to the downside. Okay, once we've got the kind of the read on the follow through, or at least the potential for that, and then hopping on the train. Okay, most of the time I like to, you know, reduce the risk kind of at the lower area here. So I'm so bad, that would be perfect around your, just like you said, your 18 and a half, somewhere like that. In this case, I probably would have just held on. and still be in it. And now it's going again. Well, it's not going against me yet, but it's retesting where I entered. Okay, I'm still sticking with the trade idea here. I'd still hold on to it. Right, it's retested back up here, but this is where the sellers came in, and I don't see buyers back up above it here yet. Okay, if they do, then I'd get out. A lot of trade management on a pretty tricky day. But anyway, that's trading, and looking to reduce the risk, have the odds in your favor, or look for something that gives you the potential for follow through and a nicer move. Now that's one way. Another way is like we talked about it many times, like looking for the move in here, just the bottom of the range, and you can get out, or at least get out some. Maybe look for the continuation, or maybe just look for the next one that's just going to trade from either top of the range to the bottom, or like a low volume pullback and continuation. Okay, this trade idea is still working out. Okay, it is probed up here, up to here, where the sellers came in. Okay, and so far is holding. Okay, enough sellers in here. Let's see if it can break, and then come back down. The first level would be back down to the 18 and then 18 and a half, or 18 level. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Okay, probed one more time, just a tick or two above. Now it looks like it's going to happen. Now we're looking for 16 in bottom of this range here. I'd love to see it trade this liquidity here. So it's 17 actually. Let's see it, sellers. Might even add into this position at this point, and then take some off here at 16 or 17. Okay, so yeah, I would just because of today, I would get out of my that little add in here. Okay, stop at break even at this point. Okay, still what did I say? I would have still been in both legs here. Yeah, so I still have two positions on. I added in basically, and then stop at break even. So break even is up here, so just about to get stopped out at break even. Okay, around 22, something like that. Okay, so I got a little bit out of it on the scale in, and then holding two legs now, two positions. Something like that, guys. Again, this is not a trade calling room whatsoever. This is about going through, and let me even just kind of articulate on that on our YouTube page. Okay, you can go here to our is it under playlists? Yeah, under playlists here, or no, it's on our home page. So just scroll down. Okay, Bookmap education course. View the playlist. 4 parts to the educational course here. We're going through that same course content here in the live market, and that's our goal here. So you can apply this to any type of trading. Okay, so I got stopped out at break even on my other 2 remaining here. Was looking for follow through, didn't happen. Okay, it's been that kind of day today. Took a little bit out, maybe recovered some of the losses from other scratches earlier, something like that. And that would be my day. All right, so let me get back here. Any questions? So again, our strategy here in our education is pretty straightforward. I think it's quite robust. We have the educational course that I just showed you, and then we have the these webinars here, live analysis that goes through that course content in the live market, and then we have 3 different traders. Tom B is going to start right now, and he'll go through the afternoon session in Bookmap. He's a volume profile trader, and he's looking at auction market theory and volume profile. And then we have Jay Trader, a stocks trader, on Wednesdays, 10 a.m., and Scott Pulcini, a futures traders, at 10 a.m. And they will go through how they trade in detail. So we have the course, we have the education that should answer a lot of your questions, and then you can take that to any trading style. Okay, we can go through. God, we've done it a million times. We can go through our candlestick analysis, and we can look at that and look at order flow. Okay, so we'll look at like a 1-minute candlestick chart here. All right, so here, like wicks, look for sellers right here. If we get our sellers in here, and we got to get sellers here, and we got a few. Okay, now they're back up above it. Okay, then the squeeze back up into 30. Right, looking for an extension. We're back up above these 2 wicks here. Let's see if we can get buyers back up above it and then back up into 30. Okay, that would be the candlestick play, right? So we're looking at the volume here to support that. I'm looking for the order book to support that. Here, a little bit in the order book at 26.5. We got our buy volume up here. All right, let's see them move it now. 30. Okay, based on candlesticks. Okay, order book's supporting it nicely on the way up here. Okay, so again, you might be looking at your candlesticks, but you don't have the order book, nor do you have the volume. It would be like you'd be looking at this, or not even, you wouldn't even have best bid and offer. Okay, and you'd be looking at candles and you'd be thinking, wow, okay, well, where are they in here? Now we just got our answer. And nice follow through up into, well, it didn't get to 30, but it got to 29. Okay, just based on understanding order flow within the candles. I mean, this is literally what the candles are hiding. So we put the heat map back on, we put our volume back on. Now we have something in our best bid and offer. Okay, well, this is a false breakout. Back down in here. Let's see it move back down to the bottom of the range here. 23.5, or no, 24. We'll call it 24 here. These wicks down here, be looking for it. This was a false breakout. Nice candle. We're looking for the follow through to the upside. Didn't happen. Let's get the move back down into the bottom of the range. Okay, we may even get follow through at that point, and then we'd be looking at the bottom of these ranges, or these wicks down here, which we have point of control, and we have VWAP down here. All right, let's see it. After this, we'll go, guys. Tom B is next, or he might have even started. We'll continue on tomorrow. Yep, no follow through to the downside, not yet. Retest here. Let's see if we can get them here. Just one more read here, and then we'll call it a day. Nothing so far. Okay, well, a bit of buying back up here. All right, let's see if they can extend it then. Yeah, all right, I like it. Let's see the 30 move to 30 and maybe 33. We're looking for a breakout here. Okay, it tested these levels and didn't find much. Now we're looking for it to test. There's 30. Now we're looking for 34, 33 up here. Next levels of high liquidity. Okay, so where would I jump in? Well, when I start to see that break happen, basically in here. I'm looking for that volume up at the top of the range and then the follow through to 30. Okay, so I would have probably been in around 29 because we were looking for 30 as being tested. Even if you got in at 30, still pretty good position. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming, everybody. We'll wrap it up. We'll call it a day. If you like this video, please give us a like. If not, we will see you tomorrow with Jay Trader, our stocks trader. He'll go through how he reads stocks and order flow. He's a momentum trader looking for things that are already moving tremendously, and then he's looking for pullbacks and then continuations. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks a lot for coming. Tom B is next. You can jump over, watch Tom B. This should segue right into it, I believe, at the end of the webinar here. And watch Tom go through his way of trading and looking at order flow with volume profile. Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.